Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for August 25th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and with me today is Liana. How you doing, Liana?
I'm great. Namaste, Torrance. Namaste. Love and light. I'm here, excited to update everything or, the minimal things that happened on the feeds.
Yes, we always have our eyes on the live feeds. It's where we keep our eyes.
Our third eye also, because, you
Yes.
gotta, intuition, really important.
The links today on the website are a little wonky, but we are working on getting the correct links out there on Twitter and everything. So hopefully you guys are able to join us this morning. But we are here. We are live talking about the Big Brother 20 live feeds from yesterday. We had our nominations. Very exciting.
Yes, very exciting. So I was waiting all day. So given the buildup from yesterday about, oh my gosh, Fessy's not going to see this coming. This is going to be so exciting. And so I was like waiting all day for the feeds to go down. Feeds go down. And I was still at work. And I was like, no, 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 no. I want to be able to watch this when it comes back. It was just the mini table. So the smaller table was put in. That was a notable thing that happened
It
yesterday. But
is.
then, yeah, I know. Well, congratulations to making it to the smaller table. It's a big
Smaller table.
accomplishment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
in the game
got
of Big Brother.
only 8 seats, and there are 8 people. Very exciting stuff.
An appropriately sized table. Amazing.
Yes.
But yeah, so then feeds do go down for the nominations, and I was waiting, excited for what was going to happen, and Fessy's response was meh.
Yeah,
Kind of meh.
we'll talk about it. Fessy's response, I think, very telling about who Fessy is in this game. But I've got some theories. But to start the day before the nominations, Fessy was talking to Haleigh. Haleigh was very nervous. She wanted to check in with Angela. What is Angela? Was she gonna put me up? We need to check in with her. They talk about how why is Brett so comfortable? Why is he celebrating? Why is Brett not? Why is he acting this way? Did they know how he acted when we were HOH? That Brett, he plays both sides. Haleigh's really freaking out.
Yeah, and this is a continuation of what we, started to see yesterday. I mean, from the catching the 6 of them, level 6, all celebrating. This is something that stuck with Haleigh, as it should. Whereas if you see 4 people celebrating like that, it should send alarm bells off in your brain. And so she thinks, yeah, she's, definitely going up. I at this point wasn't sure if she thought she was the target, but she was definitely wary of the situation.
Yes, she talked to Tyler. She's like, Tyler, I shouldn't go up. I shouldn't go up as a pawn. Don't do it. And Tyler's like, oh yeah, I'm not sure what she's doing yet. She's like, oh, I don't like this. JC had a conversation with Brett. JC has a new plan. All right. I call it Operation Hook Brett Up with Angela.
I like that.
Yes, he's trying to get them together. He wants to create a new love triangle. He wants to get Angela away from Tyler. He really wants to make this happen.
Yeah, JC definitely operates in this game like a bull in a china shop that once he sets his sights on something, he just continues to hammer at that same point. So multiple conversations today were all about JC with Brett and JC trying to convince Brett to hook up with Angela. And JC was like, he knows for a fact that Angela likes him. And you just have to show how charming you are to Angela. So I think part of this has to be the fact that JC wants Tyler all to himself. And so if he can get Angela and Brett to be closer, then he can have more access to Tyler. But who knows what's going on in JC's head.
And what's crazy is people are like, this is never gonna work. Like, this is crazy. But you'd be surprised. I could see this having real life. I could see this I could see Brett and Angela hooking up months after the show ends because JC did this to them and put the idea in their heads, and then eventually someday they were at a party. You know what I mean? Like this stuff like actually does a little bit work if you're really blunt about it sometimes, and the people are good looking and, you know, interested in things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I also think about Operation Lone Wolf and Operation Scottie is my best friend and all of these other things that it was like, oh, no way it's going to work. You know, maybe it'll be outside of the house, but who knows? I mean, JC is a force and he just pushes for what he wants and it might end up happening. Who knows? I doubt it, but you never know.
Yes, likely not going to do anything in the house, which is where JC wants it to happen. But yes, he tells Brett, you got to flirt with her. You got to be your charming self. She's all about it. And Brett's like, are you sure? Like, really? And JC's like, yeah, you got to do this. You got to do it. You got to get in close with Angela. So he's putting the plan in motion here at the start of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. She laughs at all your jokes, even when they're not funny.
You tell jokes and they're so not funny, but Angela's just like cracking up. I'm telling you.
Must like you.
Yes. So Fessy goes to Angela and he's gonna pitch some more that Haleigh shouldn't go up on the block. Angela's essentially just saying Haleigh's going up on the block. She's gonna go up as a pawn, which is technically true. Haleigh's gonna go up as a pawn. Fess is, fine, I understand. Because Angela says, well, it wouldn't make sense. How am I supposed to justify it to anyone that I'm not putting Haleigh up? She put me up on the block. It doesn't make any sense for me to do anything otherwise. And so Fess is, okay, fine, but, you know, I don't think you should do it. And so that happens. Haleigh comes in and Fess is like, we just need to stick together. Like after this week, we'll make up like half the house, and we have all like the best competitors, and we should do this.
I know. I love it. I love it when he's reaffirming that we'll definitely make Final Four. As long as we get, it was like something about like, as long as we can get Sam out next week, then we'll definitely make Final Four. It's like, yes, Fessy, you will definitely make Final Four.
Yes. It is the whole day is just like Fessy and Haleigh being completely unable to do anything about their inevitable demise. Tyler and Kaycee are going to talk a bit. Tyler says he thinks they should... He doesn't really have that much of a preference here, but he feels like maybe Fessy over Haleigh. I mean, you know, if we keep Haleigh in the game, we know Sam hates Haleigh. Sam would go after Haleigh. That's good for us. You know, it's also an opportunity. JC says he's willing to vote Fessy out. We should probably take him up on that while we have the opportunity. So, you know, I guess we should do this. I still feel like this is a mistake, especially considering the buyback that's about to happen. Obviously, they don't know that's definitely going to happen. But even without the battle back thing, I do feel like Haleigh is probably the better target here. But for now, they've landed on Fessy.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that they were landing on Fessy. I mean, I guess I get it from a competition beast, quote unquote, perspective. But I always thought that Fessy was the one. He's so moldable, you know, when it comes to this game. And he's so loyal and trusting, and maybe a little bit of that is rubbing off considering the fact that he's going to be blindsided this week. But it just seems like he would be a better tool to use in the game and would be able to be used, whereas Haleigh, I feel like, is at least slightly more independent.
Yes, I mean this is absolutely like the Brendan and Rachel situation where it's like you take Brendan out of the house and Rachel is still a bit of a force here. Like she's not easily controlled. She is going to be winning competitions and doing her own thing. But when you get Rachel out and Brendan still in the house, you can bring him into the brigade. That is who Fessy is. You can bring Fessy into level 6 after this, and he will do whatever you tell him to, as long as you say, oh, Haleigh would love this. I really feel like he is the person to keep here, but for now they are on the side of wanting him evicted. Haleigh tries to talk to Angela again before the nominations. Angela's really just sick of it at this point, as am I, because it's really pointless, all these conversations. She says, should we talk? Like, is there anything else you want to hear? And Angela's like, no, really. I'm just trying to think of what I want to say at this point. Angela's getting annoyed. After Haleigh leaves, she like gives the camera a look like, oh my God, these people.
Yeah, she did the eye roll, and then she also did, I think when Fessy was up there, she did the like gun to the head type deal. She even I think said to Kaycee somewhere, like, I just want to put them up to get them out of my room. Like, I'm so sick of them coming up into my room. I just want them to be on the block so they stop bothering me. And to be honest, I was like, I don't blame you at all. They were coming up so frequently just to reaffirm, and it was like, yeah, I mean, I was with you and her. It was very annoying.
Yes. So yes, then the feeds go down. They get the smaller table. Very, very exciting stuff. Haleigh is convinced that she's going to go up on the block now, and she's convinced that if she does go up on the block, she's going to go home. She thinks it's going to be her up next to Sam. Fessy says, "Don't worry, Sam would go home. You don't need. We have the votes. I'm gonna vote for you. Tyler's gonna vote for you. Brett's gonna vote. We'll stay. Don't worry about it." And Haleigh's convinced that she's going home this week.
I know. Finally. I mean, she's wrong, but like,
yeah. She thinks she's gonna go up on the block next to Sam, and then something's gonna go wrong. She's gonna go home this week.
Right. I mean, I think it's probably just more paranoia than actual, reads of the game at this point, at least. But still, I mean, at least like there's a little bit of, she thinks she might go home.
Yeah, it really feels like so often we have to be like, well, finally finally we can give them some credit for realizing something, right? But it's like it's like we're like literally like laying breadcrumbs out in front of them, and they're eating each breadcrumb, and they're like, bread, and then like, I don't know, like, they have to, like, she saw them celebrating. She's going to be put on the block with the people she just made a Final Four alliance with. Why would Sam go up? She still thinks Sam is going to go up. Finally, when Sam doesn't go up, she's going to realize some things, but she's realized those things before and then forgotten them. So it's just like, what are you going to do?
Well, ducks like bread. So if a duck is fit, if it eats bread like a duck,
it's true.
He's probably an idiot, right? Yeah.
So Jaycee and Tyler have an interesting conversation here. Tyler lets Jaycee know it's definitely gonna be Haleigh and Fessy up on the block. That makes Jaycee very happy. Jaycee, he'll vote Fessy out. Fessy has outlived his usefulness to Jaycee. Tyler's also eventually going to tell Jaycee, like, hey, just so you know, Fessy was trying to pitch you to go up on the block as a pawn. And Jaycee's like, oh, that little guy. Yeah, he's the worst. Now I'm gonna laugh when he goes up on the block.
I mean, that's actually kind of important because I think that we've seen the relationship between Jaycee and Fessy, and Tyler sort of mentioning this to really get the ball rolling of like, he's coming for you, even if it was a pawn type situation. This is still advantageous for your game because he was willing to do, like, Fessy was willing to do that to Jaycee. So I do think this is actually kind of important for Tyler to have done.
This is actually a funny thing too, because Tyler was like, "Oh, Angela hasn't told you this yet. I'm sure she will." And then later, Tyler talks to Angela, and he's like, "So are you gonna tell Jaycee that Fessy tried to get him on the block as a pawn?" And Angela's like, "No, I wasn't going. The last time I told Scottie that about Haleigh, and it screwed me over." So it's funny how gun shy she is about using that information. But Jaycee knows now that Fessy tried to get him on the block. Any moral qualms that he might have had about sending Fessy home, he let's be honest, he never had any to begin with. But he knows now. He has some kind of justifiable excuse at the very least. Jaycee also is going to bring up this Final Four. So I've talked last week especially about how Tyler had pitched a Final Four to Jaycee. He said, how would you feel about us going to the end with Angela and Kaycee? It's me, you, Angela, Kaycee. That's our Final Four. Jaycee was all about it. But after a week of reflection and a week of Tyler and Angela canoodling, Jaycee's starting to rethink this plan. He's like, thinking about it, Tyler, we cannot go to the end with Kaycee and Angela. They are too close. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he talks about how, those girls will always take each other. They're not going to take us. He's like, I don't want to go to Final Four. I want to go to Final Two. And I think that it's so interesting. JC is fascinating to me because all of the DRs that we get from him are all for comic relief. But I want like, or even the ones that are strategy are still ha ha, Fessy is my big puppet. They're those types of things. Whereas like I really want to know more of the details of what he's thinking, if he is even thinking at all. Like I don't know if this Brett Angela plan was premeditated in any way, or this is just something that like a random thought that pops into JC's brain and he's gonna run with it. And in the same turn, this sort of concern over, the Angela, Kaycee, Tyler, and himself final four, like, are these concerns things that he's just sort of feeling and picking up? There's no clear thought, or does he really have a plan? Does he have his ideal final four? And, does he know who he wants to swap out with either Angela or Kaycee?
I think he does. And I think, basically what JC is pitching is like Angela and Kaycee, they're too close. They'll take each other. Tyler's like, it's fine though. I'll beat they can't beat me in competitions. And JC's like, you dummy. Angela just beat you in a competition. Yeah. What are you talking about? These things are random. They could be anything. And so he says, we need to take two weak people that are not with each other. For example, like Kaycee and Sam would be two people. JC feels pretty good about Sam and his relationship with Sam. He definitely is trying to get Sam into the Final Four here. He's been trying to protect Sam for a while. He definitely wants Sam in the Final Four, and he wants Angela out of the Final Four. He does not want Tyler choosing Angela over him. He even says, like, it's not fair, Tyler. We've been playing the game so well together all season long, and you have to go and fall for Angela. It's not fair.
It's not fair. You're supposed to be in love with me. And that's where I want to know, because I feel like JC has this large coordinated plan that's all going to come together. Somehow the Brett and Angela thing, like it's going to turn Tyler against Angela somehow and then bring Brett closer. Like, I just feel like JC has this overview, and I know that I'm completely making this up in my head. He has this big picture scheme of how he wants everything to play out. I mean, this is the Littlefinger deal all over again, where he's moving all of these pieces and it's all going to come together somehow for exactly what he wants. I mean, I highly doubt that, but a girl can dream.
Yeah, like here's the thing about JC is that I think he's the most strategically forward-thinking player in the house right now. I think Tyler is a bit distracted with Angela, and I think Brett has not been able to keep up in terms of strategic planning. I think JC is really thinking hard about this game and has some great plans. The problem JC has right now is that his reads are off. JC does not know about level 6. He does not know that Tyler would actually take Kaycee. So there are some things that he's unaware of, and those things are the reason why he might run into trouble. But with the knowledge that JC has, his plans are really great, actually. And like the way he's operating in the game is often very optimal, and he's often able to get what he wants. So really, if JC was able to figure some things out, if they ever let slip to him some information, he's only off by a little bit, but those are very crucial bits. But he's definitely somebody that like would be very dangerous if he found some things out, because he is gaining some more power in the game. He's getting closer to Brett, which is very important because he understands that there's going to be a war between Brett and Tyler at some point. And hey, if he finds some things out about Tyler and realizes Tyler's not going to take him to the end, he could jump ship and ride Brett to the end. That could be an easy way for him to get further. He's also close to Sam to some extent. If he needs to, he might be able to use her, maybe bring her to the end. And something else we'll talk about is that he may be more of a jury threat than we might have thought. And we'll talk about that as well. But I really do feel like, especially with Tyler kind of asleep at the wheel here, focused on Angela instead of the road, JC could sneak up and steal this win from him.
I know. Oh, how exciting that would be. I am looking forward to the end game. I think sometimes when you get to this point, you're just like, well, I'm excited to see how it plays out, but meh. And for this season, I just think that there are so many different pieces and ways that things can happen. I mean, yeah, we might get something predictable, but because of Tyler and his short-sightedness when it comes to Angela and JC, like you said, sort of picking up all these pieces, and even Brett, I know that he doesn't necessarily step up in terms of the strategy, but he is still an active player in the game. And I think that is crucial when it comes to setting the final pieces in motion for the end game.
Yes. So lots of stuff going on in JC's mind. He also will later in the day talk to Tyler about, if Fessy did end up staying, I could convince him not to come for you. So he's already kind of planting seeds a little bit of like, maybe Fessy should stay. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad if Fessy stayed, which would continue to help JC out if Fessy stayed over Haleigh. Although I honestly don't think it's that much of a difference for JC's game which one stays. Obviously, Fessy's easier for him to control in general, but either way is probably fine for him in terms of his purposes moving forward. But he does say to Tyler, they definitely can't take Brett. He's too good at competitions. He continues to make sure that Tyler and Brett are going to be going against each other. He lets Tyler know, Brett was a little concerned about you and Angela talking with Fessy and Haleigh. You need to be a little careful about that. Tyler, though, still a force to be reckoned with. He sees what JC's doing here. He's got all the information. And Tyler's like, oh, yeah, Brett's kind of like your new Fessy, isn't he? Mm-hmm. And JC's like, yes.
But still, yes, Brett will not be ridden to the end, I think, because both of these power players are definitely wary of him and are suspicious of him, especially with his comp abilities. And so I think Brett will be a tool, but I still think that, well, he is a tool, but I think that he's not going to be used for really the end game from either side. I mean, past like final five, I think even Brett later in a conversation recognizes himself. Like he is like, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much screwed when we get to final five, which then would be interesting to see what Brett is able to do with that. If he is going to try to manifest anything. But I guess we'll see how it all plays out.
Yes. All right. So the feeds then go down for the nominations finally. And they come back up. Fessy and Haleigh have been nominated. Fessy did not know that this was coming. Tyler and Angela even planned out, make sure they show Haleigh's face first because they're expecting the Haleigh nomination, and then Fessy's face so that we can get the maximum results here for the maximum response from Fessy. So here we go. Fessy finally put on the block, blindsided. We're finally gonna get annoyed, confused. Fessy, here we go. Fessy, he is ecstatic. He is this is the happiest Fessy has been the entire game. He is literally laughing. He cannot stop from smiling. And this is not the fake, oh, I totally wanted this to happen. No, he is legitimately very happy about this. And that's because Fessy has never cared about this game. I told you yesterday, I told you multiple days that Haleigh and Fessy, all they do is argue. But maybe when they go up on the block together, maybe they're finally gonna, that's when they're gonna get closer together. And that's what's happening. And Fessy is so excited about it. He is so happy because all he cares about is Haleigh. And now they're commiserating together. We're in this together. It's just the two of us now. Everybody else is ignoring us. All we have is each other. Hey, Haleigh, wouldn't it be great if we could just leave at the same time? This is just, oh man, we lost. We're big dummies. Isn't that right, Haleigh? Let's cuddle.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, it was so lame. I was like watching feeds. I was like, okay, something's gonna happen now. Because it was quiet when feeds came back. And I was like, okay, how about now? And it was like, no, like Fessy just like brushing his teeth in the bathroom, just like chilling, hanging out, not being able to pull his hat on all the way, which just like sits on top of his head, just perched up there. I was like, oh, I just want to slap that hat off his stupid head. I was like, give me entertainment, Fessy, damn it.
Yes. So they're commiserating. They're finally not arguing because it's just the two of them. They've played by other people. When they're in power, they can't get along. But now that they're not in power, they're together. Fessy with a pure look of hunger is laying with Haleigh and says with a smirk and that look in his eye, man. Jury house is gonna be lit though, right?
Oh, it's terrifying.
Because that was his immediate thought. Is like, well, now we're going to jury together. Isn't that gonna be great?
Oh man, good thing Scottie brought all those condoms, right?
Yes.
one step ahead. Yeah, oh man. I mean, at least, so the one thing I will say that was good that came out of this was at least they did some self-reflection on how terrible their game was, and Fessy had this really great sort of monologue to the cameras where he is essentially listing off all of their mistakes that happened. We're starting from, Haleigh winning the hacker comp, and then picking Kaycee to play, and then Haleigh winning HOH or Rockstar going home, and then Fessy winning and sending Scottie out. And like, that was, that it made them more rootable, at least. I mean, I know they're pretty much useless, but like, it was nice to see for once.
I would personally not say they're more rootable, and that came from the later conversation about their jury votes, and also just in general how little Fessy cares about even being there is very annoying. Like, yes, it's great that he's taking it in stride, but he's taking it in stride because he can't wait to get laid. Like, this is not exactly like somebody who's like being now all of a sudden magnanimous and like, oh yes, how humble I am about my faults. Like, no, he's giddy because he's like, oh, jury house, Haleigh. He's talking about like, okay, so if I get voted out, or no, so if you get voted out, then we can kiss before we leave in front of everyone. Isn't that going to be? Haleigh's like, why are we talking about this? We just got put up on the block. He says, I wish we could leave at the same time. Haleigh's like, yeah, I wish we could too. They do realize finally that the other side must have been working together since the beginning, and I say finally, but this might not even be the final conclusion. Fessy does realize, though, that it was dumb to send Scottie home. They both think that they're going to be voted out. Angela's speech apparently singled Haleigh out as the target, but Fessy thinks that he will be the one voted out, so they're both convinced that they're the ones that are going to go. Just in general, like, literally, you could not wipe the smile off of Fessy's face, because this has brought Haleigh together with him, and Haleigh is essentially like, she's blaming him for like sending Scottie home, but she's also like feeling a little guilty that Fessy is up on the block because of her. She feels like she's the target and Fessy is the collateral damage, and Fessy is reveling in that. Like, it's fine. We're in this together, Haleigh. Don't feel bad. Just another reason for Haleigh to be indebted to him.
Yeah. I guess maybe rootable is not the right word, but entertaining. Like, I don't know. I really appreciate when people are able to just sort of be like, yeah, we effed up. Like, oh man, think about all the crazy things we did. And yes, it was in the context of, Fessy just being focused on one specific thing that is not related to the game. But, I mean, if I'm not going to get a big dramatic blow up, which obviously I'm not because Fessy doesn't care, but if I'm gonna have to have something, like, I want to be able to see them just be like, man, we're total idiots. Like, there's something really satisfying about that admission of moronicness. That's whatever. That is just, it's really heartwarming to me.
Yes. Well, meanwhile, Tyler and Angela are up in the HOH room. Tyler asks, should I pretend I'm not on board with this? They agree that he should, so that they don't get put up next to each other. And like I said, this whole plan of like faking a fight and Tyler pretending like, oh, I disagree with this move, which they absolutely should be doing, because I guarantee you if Tyler went down there and started talking to them and pretending he was pissed off, they would completely forget all the stuff that they were talking about the other side being in an alliance together since day one and how they were dumb for making the moves that they did, and they'd be like, oh, Tyler doesn't like, okay, maybe we've got a shot, okay, and they'd completely buy it just like they always have, but they don't end up doing it. Tyler spends the entire night in the HOH room with Angela after agreeing that he should pretend he's not in on this plan. So dumb. They are asleep at the wheel. They literally, all he has to, like, he's been doing it all season long. He's just getting lazy. It's everything he's done has worked up until this point, and now he's just like, do I even need to bother when I can be hanging out with Angela and like having some cuddle time? It's so dumb. They're like just letting this happen. And just assuming that they'll be able to get through it if they need to.
Yeah, I mean, they're cuddling a lot and spending a lot of time together. And, I guess maybe I would be more concerned if, well, Haleigh and Fessy are pretty much non-factors. But, JC is somebody who hopefully, if he is able to read this, which he should, this should send off alarm bells, which it has somewhat. You can see through him starting to put some different plans in place to sort of break this up. But I think it's going to make the end game for Tyler unnecessarily hard.
Yeah, and it's like, you can see where he's coming from in the sense that, like, do I need to do this? But like, it's an unforced error. There's no reason to not do it other than you won't be able to cuddle with Angela, and that is not a game reason to do something. That's a personal reason to do something. It's very dumb game wise, and it's something that he probably thinks is a minor trade-off. I get to cuddle with Angela, but I won't be safe if Haleigh happens to win the next HOH, which is not particularly likely, but even if it does happen, I'd probably be safe anyway, so it's probably not that big of a deal. But it is that big of a deal because things can go wrong in the Big Brother house, and Tyler knows that there could easily be a battle back, and there is a battle back, and Fessy or Scottie are the two most likely people to win that battle back. And now all of a sudden, instead of one person winning HOH and Tyler maybe being in trouble, there are two people who are very capable of winning HOH and putting Tyler in a lot of trouble, and potentially going, if they go back to back as HOHs, then Tyler could easily find himself going home because of some bad luck for sure, but also because he made this decision to not close that gap because he just wanted to hang out with Haleigh, with Angela. And it's just like, man, he's really, these showmances, they really take people's focus off the game, and this is a bad idea.
Yeah, I don't know, Taran, if you can run the Cuddle EXE program, but cuddling is pretty nice. So, like, I kind of get where he's coming from. I get that it's a bad game move. I think for me, like, it's still kind of excusable, at least somewhat. Like, I kind of get it. Is it bad? Yes. But, I guess maybe I'm a little bit more empathetic towards him doing it. And I think because he thinks that the risks are so small for doing this, that for him, yes, it is somewhat of a calculated risk, but, his emotions are getting involved, and he's human too.
Look, you can cuddle on top of your $500,000 in 5 weeks, Tyler.
Paper cuts, Taran. Paper cuts.
Meanwhile, Haleigh and Fessy, they literally spend the entire night together, which is, again, why Fessy is so happy. But they talk about how they can't wait to be bitter jury members. They are so excited. Haleigh says, I'm so bitter. I hate how well Angela's playing. She's so good at this game. She's playing so well. I can't wait to vote against her and make sure she doesn't win. I would love to vote for Sam to win this game. That would warm my heart. Just because, for no other reason than Angela's so good. She's so good at this. She's playing so well. That pisses me off. I want Sam to win. That is Haleigh's response to all of this.
Yeah. So I couldn't believe it. I was like, really, gang? Really? We're gonna go bitter jury route? Like, can we not do this right now? I want to chalk it up to they were just put on the block. They're being frustrated. Hopefully, once they have a little bit of time outside of the house to, actually think about everything, this won't come to fruition. That's fingers crossed right now. I think that is hopefully what will happen. Although I will say, even though if they recognize that Angela is playing a good game, she still, gives off this like cold-hearted vibe, which we talk consistently in Survivor, Big Brother, about how you have to feel good as a jury member about giving that person your vote. And so even if you recognize that they're playing a good game, they still sort of have, regardless of sort of their bitter status, they still have this sort of negative energy towards her. And so I think that is another obstacle, even if they're able to get over her bitterness.
Yeah, and like normally I'd like if they were just saying, like, screw Angela, the way she's been treating us, she has been playing that all wrong. We would give it to some other people over, like Kaycee. She's been much better socially. We would want to reward that. But they're not saying that. They're saying we want to intentionally find the worst player aka Sam or Kaycee. They feel like they've played the worst, they've done the least in the house, and give it to them just for shits and giggles because they're mad at the fact that they lost. That they're literally saying that out loud. Like we can ascribe to them motivations that are much more justified, but they are saying themselves that their motivations are the absolute worst motivations you can think of when it comes to being a bitter juror right now. And so they may later, if they end up voting for, if Sam is the winner of Big Brother 20 because they voted for Sam over Tyler or Angela or whoever, and they try to claim like, well, actually, Sam was pretty good socially, and she deserved the no. We heard the initial motivation here. You can come up with whatever justification you want after the fact, but this is these are the seeds of this idea right here, and it's pretty gross.
Yeah, I mean, again, like if I were just looking at this little microcosm, I would be like, oh my God, this is what's going to happen. But finale night is like a month from now, and you don't know really what's going to happen once they get into the house, once Scottie's there, Rockstar's there. I mean, not that that maybe is necessarily a good environment to help them be less bitter, but still, I think that there are a lot of things that could happen, and I think they are being emotional. And I would think because Haleigh is a super fan, although as Tyler said, oh man, she's a super fan, but she's terrible at this game.
She's not actually super fan.
Yeah, right. That, you know, I mean, maybe they'll come around. I don't think that this is, you know, oh my gosh, this is the apocalypse, run for the hills, they're going to be bitter jurors. I think it was a really like eye roll conversation for me to hear. And to hear Haleigh like lay out her vote order, which was like, I think it was like JC, Brett, Tyler.
It was JC, Brett, Sam, Kaycee, Tyler.
And then Angela last, I think. You know, but who knows if that's going to stay, but we'll see. You know, it depends if they are the ones who have influence in the jury house. I don't think that I don't think that that's necessarily going to be the case. I feel like Bayleigh would actually be a really big influencer, but we'll see how that goes.
Yes. They're basically like, it's just like, obviously this could be an emotional response, and like I don't expect them to actually vote this way. It would be pretty disappointing if they did, but like obviously, you know, we're going to react to them saying this. It's not often that you hear people openly admitting just how ridiculously bitter they are, like in the house. And again, I'm saying if they end up voting this way, we know exactly why. Like this is not the like oh, Paul did this to himself justified bitterness. This is very clearly, let's try and intentionally vote for the worst player possible, just because we're you know, angry at the world, which is super annoying whether or not it's an emotional reaction in the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I will say it was nice to have them sort of lay out all this, even if it was for all the wrong reasons, because I was thinking back to BB19 where, you know, like we never really got to see anybody lay out their criteria. And so I guess it was kind of exciting going into finale night, but this was neat to just see, you know, whatever. They're emotional, they're bitter. We'll see. I think they will come around, but yeah, to have them vocalize it was pretty interesting.
Yes. And again, so like to anyone who's like, oh, it was just one conversation, they'll get over. It's like, this is a daily podcast. I'm supposed to talk about what they talked about. I'm not going to be like, oh, well, they did talk about this, but let's not bother responding to it. Like, of course I'm going to respond to what they're saying. And again, like, I would hope that this, you know, that they end up coming around. They were definitely serious about it, though. To those that think they were joking or that they weren't being serious, they were very serious. They discussed this multiple times. And they were legitimately like, we cannot wait to do this. So this should be taken seriously. And it is something that we should watch out for and should, I think, be incorporated into any kind of jury prediction in terms of their votes. So they're talking about this. So the one important thing, though, is that for now, at least, they do say they would want JC to. Haleigh says JC is the only person she would vote for to win, that she'd feel like good about voting for. She feels like you know, JC's the one person she would not be bitter against. The one person who's played a good game that she would actively want to vote for. And that's important to note because we've been a little bit concerned. Could JC win? Would people recognize recognize what he was doing? Will people feel close enough to him that they'd want to give him their vote? If JC has Haleigh and he has Fessy, and Scottie in his interviews, in the exit interviews, has been saying he thinks JC is playing the best game because he has caught on to JC, but JC is still not leaving. That could obviously change once they find out about all of the other stuff, level 6 and everything Tyler's been doing. But for now, it looks like JC will have some respect in the jury house. It might be hard to get Bayleigh's vote, which might mean that it's hard to get Rockstar's vote, but I could easily see Rockstar voting for JC against a privileged male like Tyler or Brett. I could easily see JC taking this home if he makes it there.
I would be so excited if JC won this season. I was watching the Thursday episode with a friend of mine. We were talking about, oh my gosh, what if this is like reverse BB19, where the season is amazing, but then we have like Sam as our winner. We're like, okay, wait, stop. Don't put that out in the universe. No, JC, like that would be really exciting to see JC pull it out in the end. And I think that he has a great shot against a lot of people in this house. I think one thing though that keeps standing out to me is the Angela of it all, where I feel like Angela, Tyler talked about he wanted to take Kaycee over Angela, whereas, I think he would definitely be Angela. And I wonder if JC is going to be able to sort of see that Angela is somebody who he can beat in the end, because yes, I guess, quote unquote, she's played a great game, but because of sort of her attitude and the way that others perceive her, they wouldn't vote for her in the end.
Yeah, I talked about this before, that I do think that Tyler taking Kaycee is a mistake. I think that Angela is an easier beat for him. And I said that because if the jury happens to be bitter, then Kaycee is the kind of person they would reward. Whereas Angela is a person they'd be more bitter toward. And either way, he's outplayed both of them. So it's not like he needs to worry about like, oh, what if they vote for Angela because she's a better player? I don't think that Angela will win based on being a better player. I think everyone would recognize that Tyler's played a better game than Angela. So he wins on both fronts, on the emotional front and the strategic front. Whereas Kaycee, he definitely wins on the strategic front. He wins on the social front. He's, maintained better relationships. But if people are going to just be butthurt about the game, then she might come away with the win. And so he should worry about that, but he's not. I don't know if this is also a situation where like he's overcompensating because he knows he has feelings for Angela, and so he doesn't want to be seen as somebody that is falling for her and is now going to take her to the end and then lose to her. And so he feels like he needs to be loyal to Kaycee. I don't know what it is. But this could also be a game-losing mistake for Tyler, and we could end up with a Kaycee win, which, I do think Kaycee has played a decent game, but with all of the options available, it would definitely not be the best winner for such a great season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, definitely. Kaycee's sort of on the edge for me. They're like, well, I like Kaycee also, and she hasn't been horrible apart from her absolute like outburst when she's lying, where it should be really obvious because it's a deviation from her normal behavior. But yeah, I mean, I think that the Angela Tyler situation is interesting because we've seen both of them sort of struggle with this idea of, in order to be a good game player, they feel like they need to cut their showmance. And for Tyler's situation, he actually doesn't. Like, almost it would strengthen his game to take Angela, even though I think he just has this perceived notion because, that's what good game players do. They cut that person at the final 3. Whereas for Tyler, it would be taking him is sort of the better move there.
Yes. So that's how it. Then the one thing JC I think should be concerned about is, he could be in trouble in the jury house when Fessy finds out about all the trash that JC was talking about him. He might end up getting screwed there. Calling Fessy a big dumb puppet, and all of the things that JC has talked about to other people in the house could come out and tank his chances a little bit, especially if Bayleigh is very anti-JC and Fessy and Haleigh are trying to stick up for him, and then it comes out like, oh, actually JC's been talking trash about you two all along. They'll be like, okay, screw it then. We agree, Bayleigh. We should not give it to JC. So that could be an issue for JC. But man, Haleigh she cannot wait to cast her bitter vote. She's very excited. She thought Paul was robbed last season. She loves Paul, but and so she never thought she would be a bitter juror. But now she can't wait. She says, and according to Haleigh, man, everything was going so well. Everything was going so perfectly until my conscience got to me, and I was just too good a person, and I had to admit to being the hacker so that my friend could get off the hook. If it weren't for that, we would be doing so well. Yeah, Haleigh, it's you're just too good a person for this game, just like every other person that has lost the game.
I mean, to be fair, though, I remember when that happened because I remember thinking Haleigh is 21 years old, and I'm sure she wants to be she's still thinking about how she's being perceived by others, and she really is heavily influenced by, sort of this like moral compass, even if, it's not from her personal moral compass. It's like how her moral compass is perceived, I guess. And so I think that she was really influenced by that. I mean, how the public would perceive, her with Bayleigh and that whole situation of like her wanting to sort of like clear her name. I mean, I think that it was like all wrapped up in that. And I think that there were some complex emotions that were going on with her that motivated that decision. I mean, yeah, is it the root of their problems? No.
Right.
There are so many other issues.
She still has completely no idea. Like, it didn't matter at all. Like, nobody cared. It had nothing to do with her downfall. She still does not understand that that Bayleigh went home because she admitted to her power and that she had this power. For all of the supposed understanding she now has of the game, given the fact that she's finally okay, I'm being put up on the block next to Fessy. Maybe I just saw them all celebrating. Maybe they've been working together this whole time. She still doesn't understand that Bayleigh went home because Bayleigh had a power. It just makes it easier for her to believe, just like every other person who's ever been evicted from the Big Brother house. I'm just too good a person for this game. As I'm just too good. If only I hadn't had this crisis of conscience, then everything would be fine, and we would be working together smoothly, and nobody would have ever come after me, and Bayleigh would have stayed, and blah blah blah. Like it's. Okay, Haleigh.
I don't know. It's a traumatic experience. I'm like, you do whatever weird things you need to do in your brain to like make you feel okay in this moment. You'll process it. You'll get over it. But yeah, definitely Haleigh, the real winner of Big Brother 20.
Yes, that's what it's like. Look, it happens with every single person, and it's like very, very annoying every time it does happen. It's a very, very common thing here. I'm just too. I didn't want to degrade myself like other people. I had to make the right moral decision, and that's why I lost. Otherwise, it would have been great. JC is going to have a conversation with Brett. He tries to continue the Operation Hook Brett up with Angela. He's trying to get Tyler out of the HOH room, and he tries to get Brett up there alone so that Brett can go flirt with Angela. He's like legitimately trying to orchestrate okay, you go up, you'll be able to hang out with Angela alone. I'll go get Tyler. This is gonna work. This is gonna be great.
Okay, so one of the things that I've noticed about the way that Brett and Tyler, like the difference between the way the two of them interact with Angela, which I think is really going to be a barrier in JC's plan, is the fact that Brett pretty much just talks about himself. And he doesn't really ask Angela about her, whereas Tyler does, and is actually curious about Angela's life, whereas Brett just sort of like tells his own stories, which to be fair are entertaining. But at a certain point, if you're trying to build a two-way relationship with somebody, you have to ask them about themselves. And so if JC could maybe coach Brett to be like, hey, maybe you should ask Angela how she's doing, then that might be a way to move that relationship forward, at least just a little bit.
Yes, Brett he's not equipped here. He doesn't have the JC just turn on the charm, but he doesn't have it with Angela, unfortunately. So this is not going to work. They don't end up getting alone time anyway. Brett does say that JC does say that Brett needs to get closer to Angela because Brett is talking about like, I'm screwed at Final Five. Like I'm screwed when it comes down to it. I'm not close to them. I think Brett feels like he's just covering for the fact that he's in level 6. I'm not sure that he's actually worried, but he should be. But JC's like, that's why you got to get close to Angela. That's why you've got to get Angela on your side. But it doesn't work. They end up, Brett spends some time with Kaycee, and then they all spend some time together, level 6. And Brett is going to admit to them finally, hey guys, I am a secret cybersecurity engineer.
So close, Bronte. So close. Yeah, I mean, all of these, like, getting to see more of these interactions, Brett revealing his like super secret, and JC sort of playing these different relationships. This is what makes me want like Fessy and Haleigh to go. Like if they can get out, then I get to see more of this, because I'm really intrigued by these dynamics, because I am excited to see as level 6 starts to fall apart and starts to target each other, what's going to happen with JC, with Brett, with Tyler, and even with Angela, who I think is super entertaining. Like her just cold, emotionless ice queen. The fact that she doesn't seem bothered by it at all. Like it's really fun to see.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why the battle back is very annoying, because we're just prolonging this situation. We got to get somebody out again. We got to wait even longer. But what are you gonna do? It's Big Brother for you. So yes, Brett admits that he's a cybersecurity engineer. They ask what that means, and he's like, I help out with help people figure out what it means. I still don't quite. He helps the salespeople by like talking to the people that they're selling to, and like helps the salespeople like understand the technology better. I don't know. I don't understand it.
Yeah. Well, in software, that's actually a really important role. That like the liaison essentially between like the technical experts and then the companies or whoever the clients are. But still, he was claiming that it helped him win the hide the veto, because he like ran into a lot of detail about how all of the things that I learned through cybersecurity and hacking helped me like hack the hide the veto competition. Just like, okay, Brett, like that's nice.
But like, isn't this just like IT? Like at best, like, but it like not. Isn't it just like? Like he's not the actual person doing the things. He's just the person that understands it well enough to explain it to other people who don't understand it. Is that a correct read?
Yeah. So, I mean, from what I understand from his description is essentially, he goes to the client and tries to communicate with the client and understand what the client wants, and then goes back to the engineers and talks about, okay, what can we build? What can we make for them? And then kind of is like this back and forth. So, I mean, essentially, I guess he's like a translator, but he doesn't actually do any of the coding or anything himself. That's what I understand. Yes,
that was sort of my understanding. And he wants to get into politics with the exposure from Big Brother, because look. I agree with him. We need more politicians that understand the internet and cybersecurity and all that. But Big Brother's probably not the best kicking off point.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Big Brother, where you've typed in anal lice into the computer, is probably not the best jumping off point.
Oh my God, can you imagine the attack ads from his opponent just playing the anal lice clip?
My opponent, Brett, has anal lice. He admitted it himself on Big Brother.
At least maybe he would oh my gosh, can you imagine like Brett becomes our advocate for net neutrality? Like, oh, all of a sudden I'm voting for Brett? Oh no.
Hey, I would vote for Brett. I'm all for it.
Those political campaign speeches would be lit.
Yeah, we need more anal lice in the White House.
Oh my God, get that on a bumper sticker. That's is going to be his tagline. Like, bring anal lice to the White House.
More micro penis representation.
Truly amazing. I'd be here for it.
More people that can walk into clubs and buy the place.
Buy the whole place. Yes. Oh man. I don't know. Cause then like what party? Cause the rock stars of the world obviously aren't going to vote for him. They see him as, that privileged guy who can walk in and buy the club. I don't know. He might have a hard time finding his base.
Yeah. So, well, he can just hack the votes. It'll be fine. All right. So, they're all like, does anyone else have any secrets? And Tyler's going to say, well, I was on this like show with Kevin Hart. It was like TKO. That's how they found me. Isn't that weird? And they're like, oh, that's cool.
I knew it. I knew there was a link between him being on TKO and then being on Big Brother. I laid out the timing on one of the RHAP B&B episodes, and so I felt very validated in that moment.
Yes, well, it's also very convenient for him for covering the fact that he has been applying for a long time. Like, oh yeah, they just found me from this other show that I did that's much more suited to my surfer bro archetype. Definitely not a super fan of Big Brother because they just found me. Isn't that a coincidence? Yeah.
Recruit.
So this was a funny late night conversation, but that was basically the day. Anything else that you wanted to bring up, Liana?
No. Oh, Haleigh said something really funny earlier in the day. She was like, "I'm running out of people to hang out with." I was like,
Which
"Well,
Fessy loves."
I know, right? Because it's like, "Oh, good, I get to spend more time with you." And I'm just Scottie hanging around. But yeah, I was like, "Well, whose fault is that?"
Yeah. So yes, Fessy is the happiest he has been all season long. He cannot wait to get to the jury house with Haleigh. He's finally not confused anymore. It's the whole house against him and Haleigh, and that's exactly how he's always wanted it to be.
Maybe that's why he's happy, because he's like finally figured it out. There's no confusion. He's like, I'm up on the block. I know I'm a target. Like, wow, I really get it now.
There you go. All right. So that is our update for the day. I will, of course, be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern to update you on everything that happens today on the feeds. And then, of course, tomorrow night, we will have a recap for the nomination episode of Big Brother 20, or at least we assume the nomination episode. You never know now. Nowadays.
That was like baffling to me. I am a creature of habit. I was like, what is this change? How am I going to handle not seeing the ceremony at the end of the episode? It was baffling.
Yeah. So that will be fun. And of course, you can check me out on Twitch, Taran Armstrong. I streamed a bit last night, had some fun, even though we got to watch Fessy be very happy about being nominated. Yeah, I think that's it. So make sure you follow us on Twitter. I'm at Armstrong Taran. Liana is at Liana Boris. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.